What's up, guys? So today we're gonna get into my supernatural past. For as long as I could remember, some of my earliest memories were of supernatural things. Seriously, I lived in this house in Benton Harbor, Michigan, and there was what I know now to be a demon. There was this spirit there. There was this presence there, and it's like, as a kid, you don't know much. It's almost all intuitive as you're a kid. And what I just knew, and I don't know how I knew, but I just knew that there was something evil in the house. I knew it was something was there. I couldn't see it, and it was evil. I just knew it. And man, I can remember just growing up, I'd always have a sense about people. I'd always get like information about people. I remember as a kid, I used to go to lots of psychologists. And now this is not a diss on my mom, but the bottom line is there was really nothing wrong with me, okay? It was just my mom didn't know how to handle behavior. Not everybody's fit to be a parent just because you have kids. And I'm not going to get into that. That's not a diss, but it's just like, and there was this one particular psychologist or psychiatrist or whatever that I went to, and for whatever reason, I just knew that this guy liked little boys, and he was eyeballing me. Imagine having to deal with that kind of stuff as like an 8-year-old. I just knew it, and I was like, I did not like this guy. And I was just like, I was creeped out by him. And I could give you like tons of stories like that. Tons of living in houses where things have jumped up on my bed and walked across my bed, where spirits have been going up and down the hallway and all that. And this was all before I knew the Lord, okay? So this isn't some religious appeal or something like that. Of course, all of my videos are designed to open you up to the idea of the reality of the spiritual realm and that God is real and that there's a spiritual war and all those things. But man, I did not come to know the Lord till I was 22 and a half years old. So, I'm having to live in this spiritual sense, my whole life up to that point, not knowing Jesus or God or Holy Spirit or spiritual warfare or anything like that. But at the same time, this was my experience growing up. I've had some crazy stuff happen to me. And then it's like, when I came to know the Lord, it only increased. God was like, okay, I got you. Now you're mine. Now I'm going to show you how this stuff really works and what it's really about. So as I began to go through the church and I started picking up things about people and going into a room and sensing like, oh man, there's some tension here, or wow, the presence of God is in this room already. This is awesome. What is this? It's like some people are just born to be spiritual antennas, so to speak. So they're receiving signals all the time, whether you want to or not. And see, that's sometimes one of the most frustrating things about having that gift is stuff just comes to you whether you want it to or not, and you're like, oh man, why? After you think it's cool. Maybe when you come to know the Lord and you're maybe a year old in the Lord and God starts developing these spiritual gifts in you, you think, oh, that's cool. And, 10, 15 years later, you're like, no, this is not cool. Because it just keeps coming and coming and coming. I remember the first time I went to this church, and I was going to end up being at this church for 8 years. This is where God was placing me. I'm going to this church. It's awesome. God's doing this awesome thing in my life. And one of my very first experiences in this church was picking up on this spirit, on this significantly high up member of the church. Almost to the highest. And it was bad, man. Ooh, that thing was heavyweight bodybuilder spirit, man. It was intense spirit. It wasn't some little demonic harassment type thing, or because I believe demons have a size, or they have a function, and their function is it has a rank. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, you go into the military, you're a private, you're nobody. You know what I mean? But you're still in the military, and you still can have a function, as opposed to like a captain or a general or something like that. You know what I'm saying? This spirit on this lady, whew, it was way up there in the ranks, man. I'm like, wow, you have been on her for a long time. And so it's like, so what am I trying to say all this in all this? Well, partly I'm just trying to show you, like, this supernatural life has always been a part of my life. It didn't happen when I came to know the Lord and then it just kind of took off. No, it's always been my life. Why? Because that's kind of the way God's made me. And all of this is just to show you, like, man, the supernatural world is real. It is very, very, very real. I can remember being on a mission trip one time, and we were in Mexico, and we were going out, trying to share Jesus with the people of Mexico. And then we come back, and two of the spiritual leaders are there with the pastor of the church by this truck, and they were hanging out with this drunk guy, and he was just sitting there in the road. Well, what had happened, when we came back, we were coming to the tail end of the story, and this guy had these demons inside this drunk guy tried to come and confront the leaders and the pastor rebuked this guy, and his demons just went out of him, and he sobered up a little bit, and he kind of came to his senses, and then he starts sitting in the road singing this song. Demons do the weirdest things, man. They do. They do and say some of the weirdest stuff. But then this guy is sitting in the road playing this song, and he's like, "Oh man, I want to come to Jesus, but they've got these spirits have got me, and they're calling to me. They want to come back." And basically, he invited them to come back, and then he got up and he just walked away. And it was just like, wow. I mean, I'm telling you, stuff like that, when you see that kind of stuff happening, it's like, wow. So that is a little taste of the demonic side of the spiritual realm. I'm gonna talk about all three. I'm gonna talk about God, I'm gonna talk about angels, and then I'm gonna talk about the spirit of man. But I wanted to start it off by kind of getting the ugly stuff out of the way, and then showing you that it's like, whether you are a believer in Jesus or not, this spiritual world that I'm talking about, this supernatural life, it is affecting you. We use a lot of things to identify ourselves. Well, I'm a Christian. Oh, well, I'm an atheist. Oh, well, I'm a Satanist. Oh, well, I'm a Republican. Oh, well, I'm a this, or I'm a that, or I'm a this, or I'm a that. I made a video called Who Am I? Or Who Do You Think You Are? And it talks about how we put all these identifiers on ourselves to label us. But if you stripped all those away, like, what would you be? What would you be? And it's like, it's a good question to ask, because it's like we have to identify ourselves, right? And it's like, the bottom line is, if you stripped away all those identifiers and you were just who you are, it's like, well, I'm an atheist. It's like, well, that's not who you are. That's just how you're identifying yourself. That's how you're identifying your current personal values. Oh, well, I'm a Republican. Well, that's not really who you are. That's how you're identifying your own personal current values. And the list goes on and on. But the bottom line is, no matter what your labels, and even if you stripped all those labels away, this spiritual life, this supernatural life is affecting you. And your labels and your philosophy and your religion or your non-religion is not going to change the fact that the spiritual world is real, and it has a certain way about it. It is structured in a certain way, with a war going on between angels and demons, fighting for your soul, fighting for your heart, fighting for influence, almost like lobbyists trying to win your heart to get you to make decisions on their behalf. God's trying to win you, and the devil's trying to conquer you. And so, this is just a little startup on these things. And if you guys want to know more about this stuff, ask me. I will answer specific questions. I'm not going to probably answer every question, especially if you're just going to spout off meh, 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 meh. You know what I'm saying? Anyone who's a YouTuber knows what I'm talking about. People just like to, people are very brave online. Very brave. But it's like, and they'll say stuff online that they will never say to your face. Those kind of people, I'm not going to talk to you. I'm going to tell you that right now. But those who are genuinely interested and have questions, even if you're not a believer, I don't care. It's like, but if you have a question, I will answer it. So, until tomorrow, guys, I will see you later. And I hope this has made you think. I hope this has opened you up to the idea that, man, you know what, there is more going on here than I realize. And so just think about it, guys, and I will see you tomorrow.